Hi, so we've started talking about strings and now we will finish our introduction to strings. As I said before, this is like very basic information about strings. So final thing you should know about strings is that you can perform some arithmetic operations on them. So for example, you can create, you can add strings together. So here, as an example, you have three strings. One of them is programming, second is space, and third one is awesome. If I run this code then Python performs this operation. So Python simply puts these strings together. So first it writes the first string, then the second one, and now you can see why these spaces here were important, because if I haven't used these spaces, then all the letters would be next to each other, and then it writes the third string. So if I want to change the value of variable x, I could, for instance, see what happens if I don't use spaces. Then, as you can see, all the letters are next to each other, and the string, which is the result of our operations, is less clear. Or I could, for instance, add a short one symbol string at the end, which is a dot. Or I could add an exclamation mark here. Also, there is no problem. I can use single quotation marks here and double quotation marks here, because from Python perspective, it doesn't make a difference, because this is a string, Python understands this, this is a string, and Python simply adds this. So here, if I run it, I get the same result, because for Python, it doesn't make a difference if I use this quotation mark or this quotation mark. The only difference is if there is some quotation mark inside the string. Then I want to use the other one when defining the string. So this is an arithmetic operation I can use on strings. There is also another option. There is an operation and we use multiplication operator to do this. We can combine like strings with numbers. We use strings with numbers and combine them with multiplication sign. So if I take a string and multiply it by a number, then the string is repeated these many times as I have suggested here. So if I multiply repeat by 3, then I get the string repeat 3 times. If I multiply it by 5, then I get this 5 times. And of course, it does not matter whether I write this number on the left or on the right of the string. So this is what you can do with strings. You can check what happens if I use 0, then I get an empty string. There is also something like this, an empty string. We can check what happens if I try to multiply it by a negative number. I guess I should put it in brackets to make sure that this is executed first. So I again get an empty string. To be honest, I didn't even know this, I just checked. So this is something you should also learn about, like philosophy, a general philosophy about programming. If you don't know what something does and this is a safe environment, just try it, just check, and just see what happens. And in this way, we can, for instance, try, okay, if I can multiply, maybe I can divide. We can try it, but you can see that something happens. Type error, unsupported operand types for blah blah blah, string and integer. So basically what Python tells us is that we cannot use this arithmetic operation on strings. Well, this makes sense because there is no easy way to define, to say what the result of this operation should be. If I have multiplication, well, we can pretty easily agree that, okay, this is a good idea that I just repeat that string this many times as I have written here. We can see that it shouldn't work for 2.5 because, okay, what does it mean to have a half string? Should I split it in the middle or what? Maybe half when I have 6 letters makes sense, but if I have 5 letters, what should happen? So we try to avoid these ambiguous situations. These are two operations which you can do on Python, but these other ones like subtraction, what does it mean to subtract strings? What does it mean to divide strings? What does it mean to do exponentiation of strings? Well, all these types of operations are ambiguous, so you cannot perform them in Python. And what you get as a result is this type error, and this type error tells you that you are using a wrong type of constant or variable in your operations. So as you have already heard, we have different types of data in Python. We have strings, we have integers. We will talk about this in a minute. As you can see, this is our final topic from this notebook. And if you are trying to use wrong type of data in some situation, like wrong type, what does it mean, wrong type? Type which is Python is not used to this type in this kind of situation. He doesn't know what to do. Then you will get a type error. So type error suggests that you are using a wrong type of data here. So then you have to think what happens. And for instance, for example, right now, if I write something like this, at the first hand, this might look okay. This is okay. I can divide variables by numbers. But if I run this, I again get type error, and then I can try to search what is wrong. Okay, I understand what is wrong. X is a string. I cannot divide strings by numbers, so this is why I get a type error. So here you can see how Python actually tells us about mistakes. It cannot tell us explicitly, hey, you are dividing string by number, because Python is not that smart in this way. But it can tell us something is wrong. You shouldn't use this type and this type here. But then you have to do your own work and check what is wrong. So let's get back the code we had at the beginning, and you can see that so this causes the type error, and as you have seen in this example with X, this can be quite hidden in the code, so it might not be obvious what is the reason that you have type error here. So in the next video we will talk a little bit more about data types, and this video will conclude our work with first notebook of this course. So thank you for your attention, and see you in the next video.